Hey guys, Sifu Ed here. Just wanted to take a minute and talk to you in between classes about something that I've found to be particularly relevant in my life, which is managing anger and fear. Um, there was a incident probably about, oh gosh, it has to be 20 years ago now, where I was driving with my kids who were young at the time, and there was a guy who was kind of for no particular reason pulling up beside me, and got in front of me and just went really slow. So I pulled around him to go forward, and he didn't like that I had pulled around him, so he started going fast so that I couldn't get around him. And then I think I did manage to get around him, and then he pulled around me again. And they just started screaming at me. I mean, really let me have it, and with every expletive you can possibly think of. And so I used to be a really angry guy all the time, and at that point in my life, I was working on that a lot. And so this guy started cussing at me, and he finally said, "Get out of the car! Get out of the car!" And so I don't know. I was just a little tweaked that day, and so I said, "All right, man, I'm done." So I pulled over on the side of the road, and he pulled up behind me, and I got out of the truck, and I was gonna take this guy's freaking head, man, and just bash it into the side of his car. So I started walking back to him, and man, I was lit up. And the guy saw me, and he basically just hit the gas, went around me, kind of almost glanced off of me, and then just took off down the road. That was it. So nothing happened. Got back in my car. My kids were like, "Yay, Dad!" I thought it was awesome that I was getting ready to get out to fight and all that. And then I started to think about it. I started to think that what if I got out of that car and started to walk back to that guy, and then he got out of that car and pulled out a sawed-off shotgun and decided that was it that day. Let me have it. Who was right behind me? Both my kids in that car. And also, not to mention, I was helping to teach defensive tactics at the time at the sheriff's department. So literally, right as I would have been dragging this guy out of his car and smacking his head up against the hood, sheriff's deputy comes down the other side of the road. So, another scenario, I would have been arrested for assault. My kids would have been taken into custody. Their mom would have been called, which would have been a whole other issue. Regardless of the circumstance, it would have been a series of really bad decisions and bad outcomes. So I talked to Sifu Jerry about this. So Sifu Jerry Poteet, who was one of Bruce Lee's original students, he was my teacher and mentor, and he just kind of laughed. I went over to his house, and he said, "Well, you're in good company." I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" He said, "I used to be a hothead too." You know who else used to be a hothead? Bruce. He said that Bruce told him that, "Jerry, the one thing I can't get a handle on is my anger. I just get so mad. So I just got to work on it." He said, "So don't feel bad, so you're bad in good company." So I felt a little bit better about that. But really it comes down to ego, and it comes down to fear. being afraid of feeling like you're weak or a failure or whatever the case may be in any given circumstance. Does that really matter that much? I mean, of course, we have to stand up for ourselves. We have to be strong and feel good about who we are. But do you have to go to the point of a physical altercation to be able to prove it? Most of the time, you don't. And I'm telling you, that was my go-to when I was a young guy, because I just didn't know how to deal with it. I was just angry all the time, which means I was in fear a lot. There's actually a practice in Tibetan Buddhism called cleansing the body of the 9 stale breaths. It comes from, was offered to me during Nundro, which is a kind of an introductory practice for Tibetan Buddhists. And it's designed to cleanse fear, to cleanse anger and confused thought and unconscious behavior. And when we bring these types of practices to our life on a regular basis, we live a more harmonious life. We're peaceful. We can get along with people. It doesn't mean that we never have conflict, but at least we have the opportunity to find peace within and be okay in our own skins, which is a big deal in a lot of our lives.